Hejka, to Alex Blackroast i witam was wszystkich bardzo serdecznie w OAC w MIEJSCACH, Sztuka Zbrodni. Ostatnio dowiedzieliśmy się, że w jakiś dziwny sposób biblioteka powiązana jest z morderstwami i zginął nasz dobry przyjaciel Tatum. No i teraz musimy poszukać coś na temat zamordowanych i tego, czy byli połączeni. Czy mieli jakieś połączenia. Dobrze. To chyba jest jedyne miejsce. Ja jeszcze mogę do tyłu iść. To tu? Chyba nie. A nawet nie wiem chyba czego mam szukać. O, obróciło mnie. Czytelnia. O, może tutaj coś będzie. O, jest pani. Dobra. Pani mi może coś powiedzieć.
So what's the librarian using if she doesn't have her glasses? Good morning, ma'am.
Or rather, good evening. Do you have a library card or university ID?
How's this?
Oh, I say. And what brings the FBI to us today?
Well, I'm trying to find out about some former students from, say, 1982 to 1986. I thought perhaps there'd be some papers or records.
And all that today? I think you'd be here all week looking that lot up.
Okay, so let's start with something that would list students' names for that period.
Yearbooks, then. Do you know what?
Yeah?
I'll have to close the reading room in a few minutes. I'm all alone here, you know.
I understand that, ma'am, but I'm conducting an investigation here.
I was expecting a butt, young lady. Don't worry, I'll stay and help you.
Yes?
Yes, indeed. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yes, I'm all by my lonesome here.
Yes, I noticed.
I've been working in this library for 30 years, you know. I retired 5 years ago.
Oh, so you came back because you couldn't live without the books, right?
And do you know who my replacement is? My niece. She's at the librarians' conference in Europe.
You raised
No.
your own successor. Well done. Anyway, to get back to the yearbooks.
Yes, indeed. Now then, the university authorities are very fond of statistics, you know.
Ah, paperwork?
Right. Now then, if you bring me the books you want, I can catalog them and make the necessary statistical records.
Maybe...
Over there, on the shelf.
Dobrze, jakoś damy sobie radę. Tu są, okulary. To się nam na
I
pewno
haven't
przyda.
been to an ophthalmologist for a while.
To niedobrze. I półki biblioteczne. Mieliśmy znaleźć książkę dla niej, prawda?
I hope Jessica Fletcher there will help me.
Dobra, to chyba wszystko, nie?
Do you have them?
Chyba tak.
Here they are.
What is it exactly?
Anything I can about...
I
Well, Joel Tatum, Andrew Haig, Henry Fairbanks, John Rudolph, and Mark Chestham.
Oh, hold your horses there, sweetie. Okay, let's start with Tatum. Here's the index. And here he is, page 226. Now then, where are those other boys? Seems all their entries refer to page 226. Let's have a look there.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Oh, don't thank me too soon. This page has been torn out. Look,
Serio?
Oh my god, is this Scooby-Doo or what?
those meddling kids get worse with every generation. But I'll catch the little buggers, oh yes.
Co teraz?
Are there any copies, microfilms, and so on?
Microfilms? Why, yes. Although the newer things are being scanned now, you know.
Uh-huh. Do you think I could have a look at the microfilm for this page?
Not today, sweetie. I'm too tired now. Come back tomorrow. My niece will be back then. She's much better with the technical things.
Listen, ma'am, someone else may die today, and it's possible that that microfilm contains something I can use to stop anyone else from being hurt.
Yes, well, when you put it like that. Shocking, quite shocking. Well, I should leave now if I'm going to catch my bus. But there's one later on, too. I could always take that one instead. All right then, sweetie. I'll help you.
No ale
Okay,
czemu ona...
FBI, you convinced me.
Czemu ona jej nie pomoże? Coś nie
Terrific.
odwiezie.
Thank you so much. Now, where are the microfilms? I'll try to find them the old-fashioned way.
You'd be better off playing the lottery. Higher chances.
Needle in a haystack, huh?
The microfilm room is there on the right. Wait, from here I can unlock all the drawers.
Dobra, coś jeszcze?
Sorry, there's a...
Of course.
Dobrze. Dobrze, proszę pani. Idziemy do sali z mikrofilmami. Ojeju, jeju, jeju. To by było tak... 5 razy krócej, jak wam strzałka z mikrofilmami.
Ah, screw it. There's more...
Aha, no dobra. Okej, poddaliśmy się od razu, nie? To przykre. Proszę pani! Proszę pani! Proszę pani! Help.
You're right. I won't find anything this way.
Never mind. In the meantime, I found the catalog number. It's 01-044-86.
Dobra. A to wiele nam daje. Ty już tam powinnaś być, babko.
0104486? The numbers here are totally different. Where'd she get this from? It's been hiding in this drawer for far too long. Let's see what secrets it holds.
Dobra. To może być to. Ale to może też nie być to. Zobaczymy. Niby ten czytnik do mikrofilmów jest tutaj.
Well, that was stupid.
Well, that was stupid.
Why isn't this working? What would Nick do in my shoes?
Stabilka.
Why isn't this...
Mam rozumieć, że to.
The reel may yet come in handy.
Podejrzewam,
I
że...
managed to wind the film onto the reel.
I teraz to wkładamy. Dobra, ale ja muszę jakoś...
The image is terrible. Ah, no lens.
Aha, dobra, ja rozumiem. Ona pewnie zostawiła gdzieś swoje okulary i wzięła te oko, nie?
Is that...
At the moment, yes.
The optics are...
Oh,
Masz okulary i mi daj to.
you found them too. And I look for...
You mean the
takie?
focal lens?
I have no idea what it is.
Give me. Prawie bez tego poszłam, nie? Dobra, lecimy. Ja nigdy nie korzystałam z mikrofilmu. Więc nie mam pojęcia, jak to
Well, that
robić.
was stupid.
But that was stupid.
Finally, NYU students to follow in the footprints of conquistadors. Amazon expedition underway. NYU professor of archaeology Dr. Samuel Dickinson is leading an expedition into the Amazon rainforest. Their itinerary recreates the journeys of the Spanish explorers of the 16th and 17th centuries. While the party's goal is the last of the great Incan treasures, the fabled hoard of Tupac Amaru, can the professor achieve what the conquistadors did not? Will he find the legendary city of Acacor, treasure vault of an entire empire, the once mighty Incas? The team, who has already left for Peru, consists mostly of NYU students. List of participants in Professor Dickinson's expedition. Samuel Dickinson, professor of pre-Columbian archaeology at NYU, expedition leader. Alice Dickinson, the professor's daughter, student. William Warren, assistant to the professor. Andrew Haig, student, team doctor. Henry Fairbanks, student, technician. Mark Chestham, student. Joel Tatum, student. John Rudolph, student. Alan Branford, student. Noel Roche, student. So all the victims were part of the expedition. Fairbanks, Haig, Chestham, Rudolph, and Tatum. Finally, we got ourselves a fact. There's something here about the aftermath, too. Tragedy in the jungle. Our university community has lost an outstanding colleague and teacher, Professor of Archaeology, Dr. Samuel Dickinson. His scientific and social achievements are writ large across the history of our university. He was last seen heading a scientific expedition to Peru to find the legendary Incan treasure vaults left behind after the conquistadors' invasion. In the course of the expedition, the professor, his daughter Alice, and fellow student Noel Roche all went missing. Roche's body was found later in the jungle. He had been killed by native Indians. Despite valiant attempts by the other members of the expedition, led by Professor Dickinson's assistant William Warren, Dickinson and his daughter were never found. In the face of the Indian threat and increasingly difficult weather conditions, the remaining party members chose to withdraw. According to Mr. Warren, the chances of finding the professor alive are virtually nil. We believe, though, that the professor and his students will live on in our university's history. Peace in their memory. Warren! He's the linchpin of this whole story. It's just him and Branford now. Now, are they both potential victims, or is one of them the murderer? Maybe they're in it together. Or maybe the murderer is someone not on the list. And where's the irrefutable proof that Hakiero killed Fairbanks? Are there two murderers at work here? Anyway, let's copy the list of participants. Maybe I can get out of here finally. Let's see this list again. Must be a link between the expedition 20 years ago and the crimes now. Only thing this list connects is the victims with each other. Can we really explain the murders as a result of the events of the past? Why didn't Branford or Warren say anything about knowing the victims? That's fishy. What's stopping them from revealing information that could save their lives? Only if one or both of them were directly involved in the killings would it make sense to do so. We'll have to check their alibis again. Anyway, all the clues lead to Warren at the moment. Drugs, Hakiero, expeditions in the jungle. We must start from the expedition. That's where the fuse was lit. The drugs thing is probably incidental. Don't want to get too hung up on that.
Dobra, i teraz chyba wróciliśmy.
NYU students, they're right. While the professor will heave
O
the once
nie.
mighty, the team list of participants: Samuel, Alice Dickinson, William Warren, Andrew Hay, Henry Fairbanks, Mark Chest, Joel Tate, John Rudolph, Alan Branford, Noel Roche. So all the finally we.
Dobra. Mogę wyjść. Aha, idziemy do pani bibliotekarki. Oj!
Thank you very much.
May I?
Certainly, but. Federal Agent Nicole Bonnet, FBI. I need a patrol car to the library on East 84th. It's for an expert witness in a case I'm investigating. I'll need her driven home safely. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. A policeman will be along in 5 minutes to give you a ride home. Thank you very much for your time. You've been a tremendous help.
Not at all. It was quite exciting, actually.
Dobra. Pa, pa! Musimy jechać teraz w takim razie chyba do muzeum, bo na razie w biurze nic nie zrobimy. Nie mamy co pobadać. Zobaczymy, gdzie nas wyśle w ogóle samochód. Do muzeum. Dobra. Idziemy. Idziemy. I mamy iść tutaj. Dzień dobry.
Agent Bonnet.
O, przepraszam. Proszę mi wytłumaczyć, o co chodzi.
It's getting a bit old now, don't you think?
Why didn't you say anything about the expedition?
They were tragic events, best forgotten.
Well, start remembering, because my serial killer is tied into them somehow.
Really? What an idea.
Yes, I also think that you hindered the investigation by withholding important information.
Well now, I can see you're here on business.
I'm always here on business. Don't you know the victims are all on a list?
Well, it's possible, I suppose.
It's possible, but you and Branford could be on that list. Aren't you afraid?
What good would fear do? Understand, I settled up with my conscience long ago.
When? When Fairbanks was killed? Or only after Tatum was?
You think it's so easy? And you, little girl, hiding behind an FBI badge. Do you think about all the people slaughtered somewhere in the cold and dark without your knowing?
Yes, and I hate it. I wake up mornings thinking that today someone else will die, and I can't stop it. Now it's even worse. I know who's gonna die.
Not all of them will.
Yeah?
Słucham?
Juan Alvarado, an archaeologist living in Cusco. He didn't join us until Peru.
Juan Alvarado? You keep in touch with him?
Not really.
Were there other people involved in the
Wait,
expedition?
what?
Yes, Huaquero.
Go on.
Huaquero was a local grave robber, an amateur. He appeared when we were totally devastated and on the retreat, offering his help.
And?
And then he demanded an outrageous payment, and we parted ways with great ill will. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an important call to make.
To wszystko?
Now, if you'll excuse...
Dobrze. To teraz tak naprawdę powinniśmy porozmawiać z ostatnią osobą na liście. Skoro z Warrenem rozmawialiśmy, to jeszcze został on! Dokładnie.
It's good we met. Are you waiting for Warren?
We're going out, although I'd prefer to go with you to the concert.
Well, maybe when I finish this case.
I can hardly wait.
No. Ej.
I found out a little more about the Peruvian expedition 20 years ago. Do you, keep in touch with Mr. Alvarado?
No, not for a very long time, but we used to be friends. Why is he of interest to you?
The murders are all occurring within a specific group of people, and Alvarado's part of it.
Yes, yes he is. Do you think he could be the murderer?
Well, I don't have any proof to that end.
Do you think then that it's a Koga Pachiros Indian curse?
No.
Neither do I, but if our murderer was on this expedition, and if it's neither Warren nor myself, then it must be Alvarado?
Why should I suspect a man who lives in Peru of murdering people in New York?
Alvarado was in town at the same time, of course.
What? In New York City? Are you sure?
He called me. I was frightened he was trying to track me down.
Do you know where he is now?
He left a message that he was returning home, back to Peru. I hope it's true.
We'll look into it. Do you have his address?
Well, he sent me a letter postmarked in Manhattan. Had a photo of his house in Cusco in it with the address and a note. I showed it to Warren this morning.
Could I see it, please?
Well, here's the thing. There was a bit of a mess in the museum this morning. They were cleaning the showpieces that hang from the ceiling, and I had to literally push my way through between them. It must have been squeezed out of my pocket then.
Right. I'll find it.
To po coś łaził po
Look,
tym.
if
Po muzeum jak... Co jest? Czemu dzwonimy?
Ruth? Nicole.
Yes?
I need you to check South American flights out of the country in the last 5 days. Looking for a Juan Alvarado, archaeology professor, flying to Cusco, Peru.
Okay, I'll get right on it.
Thanks, Ruth.
Dzięki, Rolf. Jesteś niezastąpiona. On lubi
Gotta hurry.
siedzieć tu.
No time for sightseeing.
Aha, Dobrze. No bo musimy wrócić do Warrena. To mi mignęło.
Mr. Brantford's waiting for you outside.
Thank you. I'll be leaving now. You're staying here?
This pavilion is such a magical place.
You sound just like Alan. But I'm glad. It's a good thing.
Creating something like that must require so much talent.
And 20 years of hard work.
Dobra, co jeszcze?
And one day, Hakiero arrived and wanted to destroy all this.
This again, eh? No, in the beginning he even seemed friendly.
And then, he wanted to destroy your reputation, and you couldn't get rid of him. So he blackmailed you?
What makes you think that?
I found traces of a drug stash down there.
Such a dirtbag. He defiled everything with his dirty little hands.
So he came here to demand his blackmail money?
You know, during the expedition we found a couple of shells of insignificant value and some old Spanish coins. Back then we were young and stupid. We invited tragedy. When the rain started and we realized we wouldn't be able to find the professor, we just wanted to get home as fast as we could. And Vaquero said that because of the diggings, we would have to negotiate with corrupt pen pushers for weeks.
He helped you smuggle items out?
Yes. Oh, they were objects of little significance, and I soon forgot about them.
Aha!
Did he also smuggle drugs inside exhibition pieces?
No, never. He pushed me to, but I never allowed it.
Did he pressure the others too?
I thought that he murdered them to get at me.
Why didn't you inform the authorities?
What are you talking about? I spoke to your man Chaser about the whole thing.
Chaser, yes, of course. Did you find the legendary city in the end?
Akakor? Well, we thought so, back then. But we couldn't go back again. It all seems like a dream now.
Okej.
Last thing, are you sure you don't want protection?
Thank you, no. This place is swarming with police.
No dobra, co jeszcze?
Now if you'll
Okej, skoro masz tyle do powiedzenia na temat, to musimy poszukać zdjęć. Skoro zdjęć nie było tam, to jedyne pomieszczenie, jakie tutaj jest, to tak naprawdę tu. No i są. Idź tu. Mnie nie denerwuj.
Here, an antique house in Cusco, hence the dedication.
I super. Stąd chyba wszystko.
Nicole?
Yeah, hi Ruth.
Alvarado left the country already. Hopped a flight to Peru.
Uh-huh, that's great, thanks. Listen, is the chief there?
Not at the moment.
You know what? Book me 2 tickets on the next plane to Cusco, Peru. Visas for me and Nick, and a hotel.
Be cheaper if you share a room.
Leave me alone.
Does Nick know about all this?
Not yet. I'll call him now.
Okay.
Thanks, Ruth.
Masakra.
Please leave a message after the beep.
Nick, we're going to Peru with this serial killer thing. Call me or Ruth back ASAP. Don't let me down on this.
Dobra. No to chyba wypadałoby powiedzieć szefunciowi, że jedziemy, nie? Tak się ugadujemy z innymi i wszystkimi naokoło, ale osoba najbardziej decyzyjna w tej filmie jeszcze nic nie wie. Dobra, piórko.
helped evacuate the survivors. He also helped them smuggle some minor artifacts out. Of the entire expedition, the only currently living survivors are Warren, Branford, and Alvarado, who is now an archaeology professor living in Cusco, Peru. All are potential victims, and all are potential killers.
Why?
Well, I don't have any real strong evidence yet, but all my leads come back to the expedition.
So something happened down there that 20 years later is causing our wannabe quartermains to rip each other's guts out.
Looks that way. I just don't know what the something is. So I'm gonna fly down to Cusco and talk with this Alvarado character.
I can't authorize that. They won't let me. It's about 4 countries outside our jurisdiction.
Look, if he's not the murderer, he might open up to me. I've got a picture with a dedication he made for Branford.
Can I see it? Well, well.
So maybe I'll find out what their little rumble in the jungle was. But if Alvarado is the doer...
Then he had to have been up here for the last few weeks.
And so he was.
Shit, this is getting more and more iffy. Well, we can ask the Peruvian police to do the interrogation.
Oh, no.
I've got the feeling I'll have to go and do it in person.
Forget about feelings. We're dealing in facts. Did you do the psychological portrait?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Our killer has a thing for middle-aged, physically fit males. He's of a similar class and income as his victims, except for Tatum. Not sure why he got hit. So, let's say he isn't an acquaintance. Then he's most likely in a position of public trust. Something he can use to get close to his targets. Policeman or priest, the usual candidates. Even someone like yourself, Chief, or our pal Branford. As for motivation, I reject the ritual aspect. It's a cool gag, but ultimately just handy window dressing. However, the antique gold coins left with the bodies? That's a clear attempt at communication. Or the whole thing could just be Warren stripping down to a loincloth and slaughtering his old buddies.
Warren in a loincloth? Nah.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Warren, I wasn't aware he'd asked you for help, Chief.
Well, Nick was dealing with this case. He should have told you.
Ale ja nie mam kontaktu z nikiem.
Warren admitted to me that they'd smuggled out some minor artifacts. Did he say anything like that to you?
No, he was very careful with his words. And anyway, it was only a brief chat on the phone.
Maybe the stuff they smuggled out wasn't so minor.
So they found some really big treasure down there. Someone got stiffed at the share-out. And this is a 20-year late reminder?
20 years is a good amount of time for a prison sentence.
So he did 20 because he was framed. Well, that's a revenge motive. But what was he framed for?
We won't know until I go down there.
You're not going anywhere yet, Bonnet. Such a trip has to be well planned.
There's no time for that. We hang around with this, and who knows how bad this is gonna get.
You won't save anyone like this.
Listen to me. Listen, you can laugh, but I see a jungle city in my dreams. And at the top of these massive stone steps is a sacrificial altar. And the murderer's there, and he's gonna turn around any second. And when he does, pow!
Oh, for crying out loud, she's giving me dreams now. Go home, sleep. I'm giving you 1 day off. Make the most of it.
Chief!
Don't chief me, just get out of here. Jesus Christ. Bonnets, I'm too busy all right.
So, you flying?
Uh...
You know what, Nicole? Dollars to donuts, Nick will be late for his flight.
Can't we just medicate him and wake him when he's needed?
Send him the address of some dusky cafe in Cusco. Maybe he'll drop by for a coffee.
Huh. Look, just make sure he gets everything he needs for the investigation.
Don't worry. I'll staple the notes to his head if I have to.
Że nie lecimy.
You working late again?
Yeah. I think I'll end up mummified here and put on display for future generations of secretaries.
I promise I'll dust you. See you soon anyway.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget the postcard.
I won't. See you, Ruthie.
See you, Ruthie.
I made a real ass of myself.
No, trochę. Trochę. Babuńcio.
What the hell am I doing? Chief will can me if I take off down there. Be the shortest career in FBI history. Let it go. A man can only die once. Get packing anyway. Your destination awaits.
Lecimy do Peru.
Damn, but it's good to get away from the city and the crime and all the everyday crap. It feels so fresh down here. I'll take a camera and act like a tourist. Might even fool someone.
Mam kartę kredytową, znaczy tam debetowo-kredytową, nie wiem, z kwiatuszkiem i pocztówkę. Nice. I nie mam mojego tego PDA, no to jak ja się mam z nikim skontaktować, co? I co teraz? Dobra, ale zwiedzaniem w Peru i rozwiązywaniem tej tragicznej sytuacji, w jakiej się znaleźliśmy, zajmiemy się następnym razem. Mam nadzieję, że Wam się podobało i że usłyszymy się w następnym odcineczku. Pa, pa!